My name is Ed Hughes. That's what I go as an artist, but I was born Edward Hughes. Somewhere along the way, as I grew up, they started calling me things like Fast Eddie, Spludoot, Spitty-Op, Jitterbug. And I guess I sort of arrived from all those different names to Ed Hughes. I've been doing what I do for, I guess, the last 50, 55, close to 60 years. And at this point, I'm calling myself a mark maker. My work is basically collage. Early on, I was a landscape painter. I painted landscapes out in Roxborough, Manayunk, in the same area that people like Francis Bate, the Martino brothers paint. In fact, they were probably my earliest influences at doing landscapes. I guess around about 1964 or so, they began to take on a different look where, and even my work today, I consider that as being landscapes in the sense that there is a horizontal plane that I sort of like develop in the work, which is a lower, upper movement happening in one area as a relationship to movement happening in another area. Sort of like I'm still interested in developing that sense of a landscape, the sense of just relationship to earth, to sky, that sort of stuff in my work. But most of my work is based on the collage. I use found objects and that sort of thing because I feel that's a sense of the real world, whereas just putting paint on a canvas or paint on a board to me sort of like is artificial. So I have developed over the years attitudes, relationships with different materials, found objects, and because I like the whole physicalness of like creating textures and creating relationships of one textures are related to another textures, marks and images that are something that you can just walk past the wall or something that you can walk down the street and see a person, and the reflection of who that person is may create an image that just bring that all into the work. So it's sort of like they're collages. This print is the first print that I've ever actually done. Although I've done a lot of work on paper, and over the years working on papers, I always had that feeling of trying to create the quality of a print in printing in the works that I've done on paper. The scale of this print is a four-paneled scale. I just say four panels. Some years ago, I did this painting called Dance of the Spirit. So most of the imagery in the print has come from that painting because when I first was asked to do this, I had no idea of what I was going to do when they told me that it was going to be a large print. So I started thinking about, well, what have I done that's large that I could sort of like relate to that? So this painting, I just sort of went and took the shapes and forms from that painting and blocked them out on this one, I think on the first panel, I should say on the first panel. And from there, I just started making marks and shapes and creating different shapes and symbols in that. And it sort of like arrived into its own from that. The collaboration itself it becomes a part of the work. It becomes a part of what it is that you do and what it is that you take on all of this. So the work, in a sense, is not totally it's your work, but when you're working with a printer, especially in this case, I had no idea that putting colors from a tube is totally different from working with ink from a can, because it's basically you're looking at a number and you're selecting that number and you're saying like, what is this color going to be? And all of a sudden you're mixing this color, and the color that you thought it was going to be is not absolutely what it was that you were expecting. And so it's sort of like you have to really work with the printer. You have to work with the pressman. So it's a collaboration. And this print, these 4 panels that I've created here, has been the work. It's been a total collaboration.